The Tale of Rhy Shen, Chapter 5. Visions. Rhy Shen stood in the new opening of the siege with his arms crossed, calmer than ever. The inferno had burned his doubts away and left behind a comforting clarity. Behind him, Lumen pulled herself together, quite literally. The Scathar assault had left her with burns along her arms, several cracked ribs, and a dark bruise blooming beneath one eye. She gritted her teeth as blood, bones, and singed skin knit themselves back together, fused with a faint shimmer of Athem. No one around them paid much attention. Footsteps rolled in a steady, almost military rhythm. Chains jingled as charm stones swung from belts and bags. Merchants and mercenaries crossed the shattered bridge with practiced indifference, having waited patiently for the siege wall to be destroyed. Again. The raspy voice of a traveler rang in Rhy Shen's ear as he passed. He gave his companion a sharp elbow nudge.
I told you! The siege would be down by noon!
Trade had resumed the moment passage was possible. These people were clearly used to catastrophe. Some travelers were barely humanoid. It was as though reality had attempted their creation a few times before finally giving up. Rhy Shen could have sworn he saw the same sorcerer woman pass by 3 times. Each iteration slightly different in hair or clothing. Yet all of them shared the same sharp intelligence in their eyes. From the speech bug, M offered some explanatory words.
Greedy creatures. With each wave, more mercenaries crowd in, all peddling their charm stones to the alchemists. Take this as a lesson, Greenhorn. The tiniest promise of reward makes even chaos bow to hierarchy.
M had a point. Each of those cultivators looked capable of taking down all 4 alchemists with a single strike. Nevertheless, they aligned with friendly faces in front of the main doors to offer the charm stones they carried on chains or in bags. Some of them pushed small carriages stacked with metal parts and tools. A few mages relied on their fearsome, uncanny pets to carry their master's cargo. Imo wiped sweat from his brow, clipboard in hand. He desperately tried to sound official, which made ridicule inevitable.
Damage report for the alchemists. The siege wall is mostly destroyed on the northwestern end. Bridge damaged, but intact. Casualties, moderate. And, morale seems okay, if you consider sheer chaos morale.
He looked left and right, one eyebrow raised in disapproval. Eventually, a heroic and spectacularly self-overestimating idea occurred to him, and it showed plainly in his eyes.
The Juru keep bringing up the siege wall after every wave, and this stops now. I need to go to the melting village to negotiate.
Rhy Shen's cocky smirk spoke volumes.
You want to appease them after bombing their siege walls? Good luck with that.
Not that he'd know anything about keeping calm before making a scene. Neither Imo nor Rhy Shen had ever quite mastered the art of speaking before acting. Lumen calmly shook her head, quietly entertained by the situation.
Ugh, my people don't mind a rough discussion. I just doubt that Imo could handle it with enough sovereignty.
She held the pause just long enough to draw a reaction from Imo.
Imo, my friend. What makes you think that the alchemists will let you handle this?
Then she laid her hand around his shoulders to draw him closer.
I heard that Bo Yang has a secret scholar. Someone with an elite soldier rank. Plus, you don't handle stress situations very well. You have demonstrated that a lot. Basically, everyone in the guild would be better for this mission than you.
Except you, And we all know why. At least they didn't expel me from their community, you big mouth.
You're in my heart, Imo, but you're also an idiot. You won't even reach the village as an ordinary mortal.
Imo kept his face straight.
I'll take my chances.
Then I'll come with you.
For a moment, Lumen wondered if she'd ever do anything in her eternal life besides guiding fools through disasters. She rested her gaze on Rhy Shen for a moment and gave a long, irritated, possibly angry sigh. Then M's voice pierced the silence, speaking straight into Rhy Shen's mind.
Say that you'll join them, you dumb fish. This is your chance to leave the building and see the world outside. Isn't that what you dreamed of?
Rhy Shen felt a wave of disgust roll up his spine.
I can't stand Imo's face, and I'm not going to say sorry to those people who shot burning arrows at me 5 fucking minutes ago. Why should I tag along with this bonehead to visit a bunch of dolts I couldn't care less about?
Because misery loves company. The world is bigger than your petty grievances, and this bonehead right next to you, he is your only ticket to seeing it right now. So don't be such a chicken and go.
Out of words, Rhy Shen clenched his fists. M was right. He could almost feel it. Greatness, or perhaps sheer madness, was calling to him. Something monumental, something that demanded he leave this wretched guild tower behind and learn what was out there for him. So, he hurried to catch up to Imo. He didn't even have to say a thing.
We start at dawn.
Lumen shook her head and muttered something about apocalypse-level morons as she turned around to help cleaning up the ruins from the siege. Imo, entirely unconcerned, adjusted his clipboard and marched toward the guild's main entry. Rhy Shen retreated to his chamber to find a moment of peace. The echo of the chaos he caused outside was still ringing in his mind.
So this conflict has been going on for a while, eh?
Stubborn Juru people. They will never give up. It lies in their nature. They cannot see the bigger picture.
Rhy Shen walked down a corridor he could have sworn he had just left. Finding the stairway to the alchemist labs took longer than he expected. The tower's twisting passages seemed determined to confuse him at every turn. It was then that Rhy Shen noticed the strange mechanical noise humming from the walls. Nothing about the sound anchored in anything familiar, despite the permanent squeaks and hums from metal and glass. It sounded as if they were building something as big as the Qilin within this tiny fortress of theirs, like a metallic whale being swaged into a fishbowl.
Stop the suggestive bullshit, old man. I can smell your hypocrisy from here. What are they really building in the guild tower, What do they need all the charm stones and the energy for?
I doubt the true scale of this project can even fit in your imagination, dimwat. It's bigger than you, bigger than me, bigger than any of us. And the construction lies in the hands of a handful of brain-dead alchemists with ego issues. Nice, Stop the next elevator at floor 14, and I'll let you peek.
He braced as the elevator shuddered downward toward floor 14. This time, Rhy Shen used a golden handle to unlock the elevator doors and open them smoothly. Another long and curved corridor with 2 rows of doors stretched into the darkness. Only dim light flickered from unsteady wall lamps.
Quick, through the 3rd door on the left, before someone sees you.
Rhy Shen spared no time and slipped inside. The air shifted instantly, heavy with heat and steam. Above him, a shallow water trench ran across a glass floor. The sunlight from above the ground fell through on the glass surface. Freckles of light fractured and danced through the dripping water, spilling a shimmering glow across the cavern like a reflection from the heavens.
Psst! Stay hidden on the gallery. Do not move.
Rhy Shen pressed himself against a steel beam. He tried to blend in and grabbed a construction worker's cap from the walls, but the cap wobbled and slipped through his head to the floor.
Never mind, dumb fish. Look down.
Through the metal grid of the gallery, Rhy Shen's gaze fell on something remarkable.
What the hell is this?
Below, a triangle-shaped construction site sprawled endlessly, impossibly vast.
Quite the trick, eh?
Hundreds of machines moved with vivid precision, dwarfed by shards of metal taller than towers. The polished metal glowed faintly with internal energy, while the ambient clatter of machinery echoed like distant thunder. Rhy Shen's jaw tightened. This monstrosity made of steel and Athem reminded him of the Qilin. In its full glory, it would become an unstoppable force.
This is Sun 2, kid. The city upon the clouds.
Wow, it is overwhelming.
M chuckled through the speech bug and took another audible sip from a cup, quietly reveling in Rhy Shen's overwhelm.
You think so? Wait until you see the other arms of the configuration.
Rhy Shen wondered aloud with awe in his voice.
Why do they call it the city upon the clouds when it's buried underground?
That question is really beneath me. Think about it long enough, and you might arrive at the answer yourself, Ghost Boy. For now, retreat and rest. You've seen enough for today.
Unseen by the workers piloting the machines below, Rhy Shen slipped away. When Rhy Shen reached his chamber, his thoughts still orbited the impossible shape below. Sun 2 lingered behind his eyes like an afterimage burned into the soul. He reached for another dough ball from the table, just as Lumen had taught him, less out of hunger, more for the warmth of the sensation. It helped. Rhy Shen's body required neither food, nor sleep, nor breath. Nevertheless, he savored the illusion of peace. Much like that, he lay down on his bed not because he needed rest, but because he enjoyed the simple act of resting. Just for one moment.
Rhy Shen, are you awake?
Oh, what in the world?
Rhy Shen?
Grrr. What do you want, Lumen?
She came closer than expected, and surprisingly took his face in both hands. Before she said something strange,
I can see your core.
the words were spoken lightly, almost playfully, yet they pulled something tight inside him. She smiled, the kind of smile that suggested she already knew what would happen next.
Do you want to know what's wrong with you?
Rhy Shen did not mention that he had just wondered the same about her. Lumen touched his face, softly.
Breathe. And let your consciousness wave. Wave.
Her fingers wandered over his neck in a touch of purified presence. He felt it somewhere outside his body, more like a peaceful memory than a physical act. Oh, what a touch. Suddenly, Rhy Shen's vision blurred. The cadence of Lumen's breath thinned and faded, dissolving along with the ambient hum of the guild. Sound collapsed, and distance followed. He fell inward into pure silence, into a place within himself where energy and consciousness were no longer separate concepts, but the same substance seen from different angles. Then, uninvited and unashamed, M disturbed the intimate moment from within.
Have you ever observed your inner core before, dumb fish? Or did they simply skip that technique in your home world?
Rhy Shen had read about the inner core in ancient books, but they'd named it soul. It was the golden center of every living being described in ancient texts, the nucleus of any sapient existence.
I didn't know the inner core could be seen. Not like this.
He leaned into the perception, eager now. Curiosity and impatience drove him forward. He expected a radiant core, golden and steady, forged by years of disciplined training, exactly as the books promised every living being should have. He found nothing of the sort. Instead, there was an inner grave, a silent gravity well where energy bent inward and never returned. Only absolute, calm darkness, a black hole at the heart of himself.
This is what I saw through the Ishi mirror.
Evidently, Rhy Shen was nothing more than that. A spark of black dust absorbing life.
Now you see it for yourself. We could pour all the Athem in the world into this pit, and it would vanish as if it never existed. That's why regular cultivation will never work for you.
You mean I could never learn techniques like Emo, Lumen, and the scholars? Never farm Athem like the other travelers?
A tide of disappointment rose with the weight of realization.
Nah, I think you can. But not by the usual ways. You'll have to pay a harder price than anyone else, kid. I'm sorry.
Sorry? A blatant lie. Rhy Shen smelled that. He left his inner core to rot, buried where no light could reach. His eyes opened again, but Lumen was gone. Silence pressed in on the nightly chamber. For all her irritating habits, Lumen's absence unsettled Rhy Shen far more than her presence. Each moment kept stretching unbearably as he strained for any sign of the others, any hint that he was not utterly forsaken. And then, slowly, clarity came. Paying a higher price than everyone else was exactly what he was meant for. Rhy Shen exhaled, a long, steady breath, and instead of recoiling from the darkness, he let it settle into him.